If I started a story with a cat and a mouse get together to become friends, how do you think it ends? Well, there is such a story, and it's called The Companionship of the Cat and the Mouse, and that is what I want to talk about today. Welcome back to the Journey Well on this Modern Myth Monday, one of my favorite days because we get to take fairy tales, fables, and myth and unpack them and figure out what lessons lie within that can help us in our daily life today. So without further ado, let's get into it. In this story, it starts out with this cat and this mouse who decide that winter's coming and we've got to figure out a way to get through the winter. So they end up storing all of this fat throughout the year and they put it in a jar, and they take that jar and they put it into a church because they believe it will be safe there. And now they've agreed we are not going to touch it until the spring. And it doesn't take long before the cat starts to get a little rumble in his tummy and wants a little bit of food, but he doesn't have the food, but he knows there is a store of fat in the church, and if he can find a way to get it, he can have some. Now, the church that we're talking about today is not the one that you might be thinking. The church here is actually a metaphorical one. Like all things in story, if it shows up, there's probably a reason, and it's probably not the one that you think. When I see a church in a story, I like to think about what churches represent. A place for the divine, a place for the sacred, a place for hope, a place for restoration. These are all wonderful things, and they all help us survive this life and give meaning to it. And so in this case, the church is trust, it's relationship, it's vulnerability. And what is winter? A winter is the season in life of death. Now, it doesn't mean a physical death, it could mean a spiritual one, or it could just mean the abyss, like we're going through something. So what that is for the mouse and the cat, I don't know, but they're teaming up to get through it together. And as I said, the cat gets a little hungry, as cats do. I mean, I don't know if you have a cat, but my cat, even though I feed it, if I leave butter out on the counter, all of a sudden the butter starts to slope a little bit in the same shape as a cat's tongue. Imagine that. And so the cat's going to do what a cat's going to do. It's going to go find the food, and it knows where it is. It's in the church. But to get there, cat needs to come up with a ruse. So he tells Mouse, hey, I have some family, and they had kittens, and they want me to be the godfather. So I really need to go to the christening. Can I go? Well, the mouse says, yeah, of course. That's fantastic. Congratulations. And where do christenings occur? A church. I wonder if he really has a nephew. So he goes to the church and he laps up a little bit of the fat. Not too much, just in case Mouse was to go and check, just a little skin off the top. And when he comes back, Mouse says, welcome home, cat. Well, what is the name of this beloved child? And the cat says, oh, shoot, there's no name. I don't know. Skin off. Mouse goes, skin off is a very peculiar name. And at that moment, his head's going, I'm not buying it, cat. But he doesn't say anything. And how many times in our life do we feel something is off, but we don't say anything? The reason we don't say anything is because we are afraid to lose something, which we'll get into as the story progresses. Some more time goes by, and the cat gets hungry again. Well, how do I get to the church again? Another family member, another baby, this time a niece. So I need to go, godfather. So can I go to the christening? And of course the mouse says, yeah, that's great. I'm glad that your family is expanding. I'd like to meet them sometime. Sure, go have fun. And so he goes to the church where there's no baptism, but there is a jar of fat, and he begins to lap it up until it's half gone. So the cat wanders home, and Mouse is there waiting, saying, well, tell me about it. Like, how was it? And the cat's, a little bit more wise to the game. So now he's describing the event, and he's, it was a magnificent event, and she's a beautiful kitten, all black fur, but white paws. And Mouse says, well, what's the name? And then cat is prepared, saying, well, the name is half gone. So the mouse responds in his head, thinking, something is really getting weird here. Like, this is such a weird naming convention for any kind of family member. Although now that I think about it, I think of Dweezil Zappa and Moon Unit. So maybe it's not that far-fetched. But the mouse pushes it out of his mind, tries to forget about it, says, okay, well, I'm going to bed. Well, some more time passes, and for a third time, hey, baby's born. Papa hungry in the belly. And so I need to go to the church again. And it's been working so far, so, another baby. I'm the godfather. I need to go to this. Can I go, Mouse? And Mouse is like, yes, you can. So cat wanders off, finds the jar, and this time laps it up until it's all gone. And he walks back with a full belly, and then there's Mouse waiting for him. And Mouse isn't as happy this time. He really feels something is strange. He notices the cat is a little bit fatter than he was before, and asks the same questions. How was it? Oh, it was a beautiful ceremony, just an all black cat this time. And then Mouse says, what's the name? And the cat says, all gone. And at that moment, everything that the mouse knew was going on behind his back finally clicks. All gone. That's the name of the cat. Got skin off, half gone, all gone. That's the name. No. You ate the fat. I know you ate the fat. And at this moment, the cat freaks out, basically tells the mouse to shut up. If you say that again, I'm going to eat you. And then the mouse says, no, I can't take it anymore. Oh, he gone. And now the cat has a real full belly, and that's how the story ends. So let's unpack some more of this. What are the characters here? We got a mouse and we got a cat. What do we know about cats? In most stories, they are either deceptive in a naughty way or they're clever in a good way, but they're always thinking and scheming. The mice, they represent the people that are honest, hardworking, trustworthy people. So knowing that, we look at the meek mouse attaching to the powerful cat. And in our own lives, I ask myself, am I a mouse or am I a cat? Are you taking advantage of people? Are you scheming and using people to elevate your position in life? Or are you a mouse that enters relationships that will keep you meek and small? But what the mouse needs to do is set boundaries. He needs to trust his intuition. He needs to see the things that are wrong and then start making changes to what he's doing and who he's letting into his life. He is allowing this cat to go into his personal trust, his wellspring of vitality, and letting the cat eat it. And he's not saying anything about it. He's saying everything here because he knows it's wrong. But because the mouse doesn't believe he has power, he has projected all of his power onto this cat. And if he challenges the cat, he is afraid that the cat will walk away. And I've done this in my own life where I've given my power to other men because I was afraid to wield it. I didn't know how to. I felt it would consume me. I felt I would become ego-driven, some kind of a monster. But really, I was just afraid to grow. And if I kept small, and I have this wound, the mouse wound of I don't have power, I'm powerless. And then I find someone who has the opposite wound that I will not be weak. I will never be made powerless. Those wounds fit perfectly together. And so we have this codependent relationship where you have my power, I will stay small, you will still feel powerful. And in this story, we have a compressed timeline where the mouse refuses to call to step into his power, not once, twice, but 3 times. And it's a slow death to ultimately him being eaten and devoured by this cat. Now, this could be a metaphoric death in your own life where I or you don't feel like we ever are growing, and when we're not growing, we're dying in some metaphoric way. And the cat only eats the mouse once the mouse confronts him. And think about this with any ego-driven, powerful person. As soon as they are caught, as soon as they feel threatened, they will rage, they will shame you, they will smash you, they will physically fight you, they will cut you off, threaten you, whatever they have to maintain their identity. Because they also, just like the mouse, don't want to accept where they need to change. In Jungian archetypes, we look at the king, lover, warrior, and magician. And in this story, we have that opposition of the lover and the warrior. The lover being the mouse, the cat being the warrior. If the warrior, who is all about action and drive and, will smash the competition in an unhealthy way, if they are in shadow, and the lover, who is all about compassion and connection and trust and relationship, these two will consume each other or allow themselves to be consumed by the other. In a healthy way, they can both realize that, hey, I need to be boundary setting. I need a little bit of aggression in my life. And the warrior can realize, hey, I need to soften up a bit and connect more. Otherwise, I'm going to hurt people. And then they're level, they're even. And it's a beautiful thing. If we don't have trusted allies, and we don't know how to set boundaries to find those allies, if we don't know how to read the skin off and say, I don't trust you, so I'm going to back up a little bit and reevaluate this relationship and set some boundaries around it and what I give you access to. I'm not going to give you access to my fat and my vitality because you're going to eat it. Then we can't make it through the winter. I tend to identify more with the mouse in this story, but when I think about the cat, my job in this story isn't to blame the cat. My job when I'm reading it is to feel a little bit of sadness for the cat, because what I saw was this pained cat, so afraid of change that he had to silence the voice that was challenging him to do so, that was confronting him to look in the mirror and realize that he was not being truthful. And this story comes from the first edition of Grimm Fairy Tales. There is 7 editions total, and in the 7th edition, an interesting thing happens. The cat's given an extra line. Just before he eats the mouse, the cat says, "Shut up. You don't know anything of the world because you don't go out into it." Okay, so when I hear that story, if I have the right to limit who's in my life, who I give access to certain parts of my life, how do I discern that? And the truth of the 7th edition is the cat is giving that guidance. If you're not out in the world, if you're not out taking risks, there's no way to know. Like, how am I going to know who is good and bad for me in my growth if I don't meet people who are good and bad for me in my own growth? If I just retreat after I am taken advantage of and never go out back into the world, I'm not going to understand how to find the people who do have my best interest at heart, who do give me vitality, who actually elevate me into a higher level of being. To use my mind and my body to write the best life story possible, I have to go out into the world and risk it. And that's what the power of the story is. It's this cautionary tale saying, if you don't set healthy boundaries, if you don't limit the people who have access to the innermost vulnerability and power that you possess, if you don't take your power back, if you project it onto somebody else, you're going to be living a slow decline until the world devours you. So take your power back, because you are the only one that can write your life story. You are the hero of your own story. You are not the victim. You are not the villain. You are not the savior. You are the hero of your story. You don't need a cat in your life to protect you, because you have everything you need to protect yourself. And you don't need to be a cat, because if you dominate everyone in your life, you will consume all of your resources and you will be alone. I do not want to be meek, and I do not want to be an abuser. In the middle of those two energies is the power that I possess and that way I want to walk my life. And it's in you, and you can survive every winter if you accept that truth and build a team of people around you that are going to help you walk through that winter, because they've stored their own jar of fat in the church and they're not relying on yours. This is incredibly meaningful to me. I love spending this time together and digging into these concepts and reflecting on my own life. And if this has been meaningful to you, I strongly encourage you to click like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that we can continue unpacking myth, fairy tales, and fables together. And until next time, journey well, my friends.